We are taking our talents to Las Vegas, and Wow Superheroes has started its brand new season in the bright lights of Fremont Street. This is Steph and Kat Talk Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late. I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great. Ladies.
Hey y'all, happy Sunday, and we are back for real, for real. We are back with a brand new double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of HWP Extra. Well, I gotta say co-host now of HWP because Bianca Addison is also a co-host for HWP as well. I gotta get used to saying that now, but yeah, she is the co-host of that show and co-creator of Steph and Cat Talk Wow. And I, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'm really excited, but I'm also kind of sick. But whatever, we're going to get through this. Also, I am a writer for Daily DDT and color commentator featured on various promotions like Battle Club Pro, The Belladonna Division, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. But I am not alone. I am reunited with my tag team partner who looks amazing and slightly mysterious in her bucket hat, but super cute always anyway. She is the creator of In Cat We Trust. She is an author. She is a super mom. She is a correspondent, a super backstage correspondent in New York and New Jersey area. And she's just an amazing person as a whole, keeping it all together while also maintaining great looks all of the dang time if you follow her on social media. She is Katrina Storm. How are you, Kat?
I'm okay. I'm tired as always, but I'm okay. Happy to be back. I know it's been a little minute, but I'm a busy mom. Sometimes there's 20 things at once. You're trying to do 20 things at once, but I am happy to be back. And as always, thank you for the lovely intro.
Absolutely. I feel like you deserve the amazing intro. And then I'm just really excited to be back with you because it's been so long. Because, of course, Wow Superheroes has been going through the transitional period into their new season by recapping everything. Or its major stories that have been going on, of course. So, because of that, and also because of life things, we had not been consistently on. But we're back now, and I am just so happy because this new season gives us a new backdrop and hopefully new superheroes and just a whole bunch of new things to look forward to. Of course, in the past few episodes, they have been giving a background history of WoW superheroes, its connections to Las Vegas, Nevada, as well as Kata Marie Jones and a spotlight on her and a spotlight on their other newer superheroes like Valentina Cruz and Gabriella Cruz and so many others. And it's just been amazing to sort of just recap all the things that make WoW as an entity so special and just seeing its past connections with Las Vegas as they move into this new season that's being held in the backdrop of Fremont Street. And as I was telling Katrina off camera, Las Vegas is such an amazing animal of a city. If you've really just never been before, as an adult myself who loves to travel, I love the idea of getting to go to these cities that I've always seen on television that feel like a celebrity to me. Of course, Katrina knows what it's like when I went to New York for the very first time and I was just embraced embracing everything, breathing in the people, breathing in the culture of everything, and just being excited to be in this epicenter of the United States. And it feels like Las Vegas is kind of that way from an entertainment standpoint, from a sports standpoint, and of course from an opulence and gambling standpoint as well. But it's just full of bright lights and it's just so gorgeous. And it's a place where dreams come true. And it seems like that's something that's being fed into this season with WoW. And I'm so happy that they're doing this because, you know, getting to go and experience a wrestling show there in Las Vegas was a huge blessing and a dream come true that I got to be a part of with WrestleMania this year, and just seeing WoW be a part of it is just really cool. So, Kat, have you ever been to Las Vegas and have you ever wanted to go? And what have you wanted to do before we get into the show?
So I haven't been to Las Vegas yet. I do
Hmm.
want to go. I'm not sure when because I've heard different things as far as if it's like too hot. I hate being overheated. So if it's like summer, I probably don't want to be there in the summer. If it's hitting like over 100 degrees, I'm going to be very unhappy, Katrina. But I wouldn't mind going. I don't know what I would do because I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble. And so I'll probably just try to check out like the food, and just like sightsee and stuff and take photos and videos. That's probably what I'll do if I go.
Yeah, like I definitely recommend it. And yes, it is hot. Even in April when I went, it was a comfortable, warm, and then it would get a little bit cooler during the nights. But because of course it's right there in the middle of the desert, if the sun is beaming down on your head, it's gonna dry you out. And I didn't realize that until I got to the press room and wound up drinking like 3 bottles of water provided by Allegiant Stadium because I was just so thirsty afterward. Because of course, when you're in the South, it's a different kind of hot. It's more of a humid, whereas out there, like I said, in the desert, it will dry you out. So it's best that you do stay hydrated. And yeah, but it is beautiful. And of course, you know. Once you get off the airplane, I will say this, there will be slot machines waiting for you as soon as you get off the plane. But if you are not into gambling, do not feel pressure to do that at all. Don't do it because I don't do it either. I don't believe in it. I work too hard for my money to just throw it away in that way. So, yeah, I definitely get it. But it's a very beautiful place. I recommend visiting the Bellagio fountain because we've seen it a lot on clips and in movies. It's so gorgeous. And they play music every 30 minutes with that show. There's a billion shows going on at a time. It's just really, really busy. But I loved being able to go there, and hopefully at some point I will be able to go back and just indulge a bit more. Um, but yeah, wow, superheroes is starting their new season here, and we are here to talk about the first 2 episodes of season 4, where we had new matches. And the first episode was called "Curtain Up Las Vegas," and so we are here on Fremont Street, which is a place I didn't get to visit, but it is really nice. Which a lot of the residents there call Old Las Vegas because it fits more of the vibe of what it used to be before the Strip kind of just took over and did its thing. Um, it's a place where you can zip line over the mall and everything. And it's got lots of hotels and stuff. And it's really, really pretty. So on this episode, which aired on October 25th and 26th of 2025, David McClain and Nigel Zane prepared to open up the episode, you know, on Fremont Street. And of course, their crunk is all get out, but they get interrupted by girls who think that they are just far bigger than the program, the Wild Trios champions, top tier. And Coach Campanelli gets on the microphone and said, "So I think the best way to kick off a historic night is to start with a historic team, right? You know, it doesn't seem like you know what's right in front of you. So for those who don't know, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove." That's not what she said. Um, that's not what she said. "We are the first ever WoW Trios tag team champions, top tier. Of course, you're looking at the head of this team, the brains of the operation, with a background in everything and excellence, the expert, Coach Campanelli. And to my left, the buzz, even though it sounded like she said the buns of top tier, I was kind of confused by that. But if she said buns, it would have been funny. Of top tier, the aerobic master, you can't sweat with her. She will stair step all over you. The cardio queen, Gloria Glitter. And to start this show with a bang, to my right, pro boxer, pro wrestler, the heavy hitter of top tier. She will start the show and shut it down. She is the headliner, Candy Crush. But of course, she's asked us to call her Crush, so that's what we will call her. And this led us into our first match, which was Candy Crush versus Ashley Blaze, who is somebody we had not seen in a minute due to the fact that Top Tier injured her and basically crushed her legs with a sharpshooter on the WoW stage in the middle part of last season. So we hadn't really seen her since then, but now she's making an amazing comeback here in Las Vegas. And this match was pretty awesome. So Ashley ran up on top tier because she was ready to get it started with the action. Like she was ready to fight these girls, fight Crush, and get her lick back for how they did her and her friends. And as they were huddled up, they had a heated exchange. Both ladies shoved each other back and forth to get the match started. Um, Crush, I believe, no, Ashley missed a roundhouse kick and then Crush missed some punches. They had each other scouted really well at the beginning of this match, but then, of course, Crush started chopping on Ashley's chest. And then Ashley blocked a kick from Crush and then chopped her chest. They were just trading really hard chops here, and it was just really interesting to see how they just kept trying to up the pain with their chops in the chest. I was like, okay, y'all trying to give Charlotte Flair a run for her money with these chops. I like it. I like it a lot. And then, of course, every time Ashley got the upper hand over Crush, she sought refuge with Coach and Gloria. And the crowd was actually getting on Ashley's side and cheering for her the entire time. It was really cool. And then Ashley got into more verbal violence with the girls, but then Crush took advantage with a baseball slide kick to Blaze, and then she threw Ashley into the barricade. And then of course Gloria and Ashley not I mean Gloria was stair stepping on Ashley's stomach to give her the upper hand, but though they kept trying to cheat, Ashley kept bringing the action more and more, and she actually gave like a amazing dive outside of the ring onto all three members of top tier, and she hyped up the crowd and gave a flipping dive and then grabbed Crush and put her back in the ring. And then Coach tried to grab on Ashley's foot, but Ashley got away, and then Crush missed a splash and Ashley hit her TKO for the win. So Ashley wound up winning the first ever wrestling match to ever take place on Fremont Street in a very awesome way. But she couldn't celebrate for long because, of course, Top Tier attacked her from behind. But then the dojo defenders came in to defend her honor. And then we see that Tara Strike is also making her return, too. So this was just really awesome. And let me just say, from a personal standpoint, to see Cameron Burnett / Ashley Blaze get this victory in such a historic way in the first match ever on Fremont Street as a Black woman means the world to me. That makes me very happy for her and just very happy even more for just Black women in wrestling and just all the ways we continue to make history. And it's just so wonderful to see that take place. And I'm just glad that she was able to get her lick back. It was awesome. So, Katrina, how did you feel about their back and forth in this match and just seeing her victory?
I was happy with Ashley winning just because she was hurt some weeks ago from top tier, and she was on a roll, and then they kind of halted that her momentum a bit by injuring her, and so for her to be the first match up in Las Vegas for WoW, thought that was an awesome accomplishment, and not for Crush as well, but her winning, especially with some of the nonsense that top tier has consistently been doing this whole time. I thought it was a really nice win for Ashley to have. And I do appreciate, felt like she was being a little bit more greedy, with her being more hard hitting with the chops and everything. I felt like she was trying to, in a way, to dissect Crush, and I appreciated that. So I think it's a great win for Ashley. I did enjoy the match. It was a good match, and hopefully top tier will learn something about trying to triple team or jump somebody, because at least for Ashley, she does have some people who has her back.
Yes, absolutely. I do love that we're also giving Crush credit, for performing as well as she did in that first ever match as well. She has definitely come a long way from the girl that we did see, who was just a boxer, turned wrestler trying to prove herself. Crush has definitely come a long way. She's gone from that to becoming the bar that newer WoW superheroes had to cross in order to make their way through WoW, and now being this dominant champion as she is with the trios titles. She has come such a long way, but you hate the way in which she got there because, of course, top tier has just been operating as the big bad, well, as one of the big bad factions in WoW, and how they've just been victimizing member after member of different trios teams and superhero after superhero. And they have definitely been consistently going after Ashley and the Dojo Defenders and anybody who even wanted to team up with Karakai while Terror Strike was out. So I'm glad that you did make mention of that. And eventually top tier is really going to have to learn their lesson, because you can't imagine how embarrassing it must be to have coach big you up in this way in Las Vegas in front of this new crowd, and then you lose in front of them even after having the upper hand for so long. I know they are probably not feeling too good about that, but they are gonna. But they do have to learn that lesson, that you can't just keep ganging up on folks and thinking that you're just gonna get away with it constantly. Like, bad behavior brings consequences, and that was definitely, they faced a number of consequences during the match and after the match as well. So yeah, but I'm just so happy that Ashley got that win. It was really cool. So of course, with the Dojo Defenders coming out to defend, um, Ashley Blaze, this led into their tag team match, going up against the Brat Pack, BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni. And like I said, I am such a huge fan of Terror Strike slash Tootie Lynn out here in the real world, and I'm just really pumped to see her back and seeing her in Las Vegas as well, doing her thing with Karakai. Ashley Blaze stayed around to stay on commentary because, of course, she spoke to the friendship that she had developed with the Dojo Defenders over the last season. And in the midst of this, we do get to Katrina's favorite part of the show, which is BK's bars. Leading up to this tag team match, BK got on the microphone and said, "Every day you're in the dojo just breaking boards, but we're on every billboard winning awards. And no worries, Gigi, I'm watching a kick to the head. It's like show business. Good luck and we'll bust your leg." Now, I'm not going to lie, I did kind of like that part because, of course, when they wish you good luck in theater and in show business, they say break a leg. So I got the point that she made, but I know Kat didn't like it. No, at least she's consistent. At least she's consistent with not liking any of BK's bars, okay? I love it. That's why I love you. You're consistent. In who you are and what you like and don't like. So either way, BK gave us some bars before this tag team match. So the match started with Kara Kai and Gigi Gianni, and Kara was flipping her hair and posing to get in Gigi's head the way that Gigi likes to pretend like she's the most fabulous girl in the room, always. Kara got the upper hand with grappling. And then she used her kicking power to get Gigi together and, light her up a bit. And then Tara did tag in, and then Tara Strike tagged in and then punched on BK Rhythm, who tagged in as well. And then BK tried to block Tara's martial arts kick, because at one point she was the victim of one of Tara's hard kicks where she was injured and could not continue in the match. And so she knows what it is to take that hard hit. But then Tara used a Hurricanrana to knock down BK for a 2 count. Then Tara and Kara tagged each other back and forth and were knocking down BK Rhythm with their chemistry. Like, their chemistry was back in full force here in this match, and I had missed it so much, and I was just like, yes, girls, get them together. But then, of course, BK was distracting the referee, and Gigi tangled Tara's legs into the rope, and she kept targeting it to injure it and kick the knee and everything, and just tried to add insult to injury, as you can see with that picture by driving her leg onto Tara's back into the ropes. And she hit a backbreaker and then she chopped Tara down with a cannonball leg drop of the 2 count. And then Gigi kept attacking the leg until finally Tara was able to well, actually there was an impressive part where Tara hit an octopus hold, which reminded me a lot of AJ Lee, which was really cool. But then BK was actually able to sit and break the hold, but then finally she was able to tag Kara back in. And Kara hit multiple kicks and an impressive Northern Light suplex, but then Gigi broke that count up and took a very cocky bow. But Tara was able to kick her down and then kick BK, and then Kara hit her driver onto BK after sustaining that kick, and they got a 3 count. So the Dojo Defenders got the second victory in the first ever wrestling event in Fremont Street. So that was really cool. And to celebrate, Ashley Blaze ran off of commentary to celebrate with them and tackle them with a hug. And it was just really nice and so sweet. So yeah, the good guys are winning in the first episode. So that was really great. It was a very high powered tag team match that we've seen from these ladies before. And it was just really great to see the Dojo Defenders back in the full swing of things, even after Gigi and BK kept trying to target and break their legs and limbs. So, Kat, how did you feel about the match?
I thought it was a really good match. I'm always really impressed when I see Gigi in particular, just from how she started in the beginning. And I do not like BK's bars because I don't. I can respect, when she's actually wrestling, what she does. I do think this is a good matchup between both teams. But as sometimes BK and Gigi do engage in shenanigans, I was perfectly happy with Dojo Defenders getting the win for the first tag match on Las Vegas and Fremont Street. So I thought it was a really good match. I do think that the both of them complemented each other. And it was also a nice little touch for Ashley, just because, she was already the first match and she kind of stayed in support of the Dojo Defenders. That kind of was like all three of them had victories in their matches. So good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. It was such a good, very cohesive tag team match. And there was something I was kind of wondering because we have seen the Brat Pack sort of always come out with Reina Del Rey and Adriana Gambino. A part of me is wondering, are we going to see them this season? I feel like I've seen a lot of advertisements where they did show Reina Del Rey, but not necessarily Adriana Gambino. So she might have stepped away if that's the case. But I do, sort of wonder if the Brat Pack is sort of going to stand as its own thing now. But because they didn't come out with them this time. But at the same time, it's not like it was really that necessary because VK and Gigi really held their own throughout the match, even though they were very vicious throughout. But still, it was really great, and I'm just happy that Tara and Kara are back together. Yay! I'm so pumped for that. So it was really good. So in the midst of this episode, Nigel and David here again are trying to get things started and get the crowd hyped for the show. And then they get interrupted again, this time by a completely different person in the form of Samantha Smart and the Class Master. Because, of course, they are still trying to rally for a rematch for the WoW World Championship, which they feel like the Classmaster never should have lost due to that weird DQ thing, even though that was a book that they slid in there. But, Classmaster didn't really utilize it to the best of her ability. And Tormenta only capitalized on that, and she won. So I don't know why they're still out here, trying to rally for something that's really not theirs. But Samantha gets on the microphone and says, "The idiots are out in full force tonight. But that's all right because some of you may have sub negative 70 IQs. You may not even know how to spell your own names, but everybody, even you, knows that in every sport the rules must be followed or the victory means nothing. And according to the rules in our championship match against Tormenta, it was a DQ and the Classmaster is the real WoW World Champion. And then she yelled at the crowd to shut up. And she said, "It's been 6 weeks since that injustice occurred. And she has only defended our title pathetically one time." I guess just never mind the fact that Tormenta injured her shoulder in that match against Reina Del Rey. But, one time defense, whatever. And I reviewed the contract. There is zero ambiguity, only legal clarity. David McClain, the facts are the facts. She must fight or she must forfeit. And David actually hit a bar here. Now sometimes David, says a lot of funny things on commentary, but this time he actually got on the microphone and gave a heck of a bar to me anyway. He said, "You must expect me to go blind to see things the way you see them through your glasses." And I said, this was me when he said that. I was like, hold on, bro. David, you can't be sneaking bars like that on people because that was fire. That was fire. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Um, he then said that he does plan. So he was just like, "So since you really want this so bad, I do plan to drop the contract so you and Tormenta can sign it so we can make this match official." So this weekend, I believe, is when it was scheduled for. We will be seeing Tormenta versus the Classmaster for the Wild World Championship. So, Katrina, how do you feel about the idea that Samantha has just been going so hard for the class master to have the title either given to her or just rallying for a rematch for a match that she definitely did lose? Like we saw that with our own two eyes. I know I wear glasses and I'm kind of blind, but I'm not that blind. But tell me how you feel about it.
I do think she's being a little delulu. Definitely being a little delulu because girl, you lost. I can respect, the loyalty of, Samantha Smart trying to go so hard. A good manager would try to go hard. So I can respect it, but they are in Delulu land because it was a loss. It wasn't a cheating loss or anything. It wasn't like it was some kind of snafu with the referee or like, somebody came in and you were to read that street and you lost. You lost, sis, fair and square. And so she's in Delulu land, definitely Lululand, and hopefully she gets out of the Lululand once we get to the matchup next. Well, the latest episode of WoW.
Yeah, there's a saying that's been running around on social media where you make your Delulu Trululu. And Samantha Smart can say that she made her Delulu Trululu because now we have the match that's about to happen. And hopefully things will be above board within the next episode and we'll be able to talk about how Tormenta retained. Um, but we will get into that at a later time. But like you said, I do agree with the fact that Samantha is a good manager in the sense that she really is going hard for her client. But we know what the real is, and we saw what happened. So hey, we'll get into it. So in the midst of this, I also want to hold space for Katie Marie Jones. Her outfit this season was eating. And on her spotlight episode, she did talk about how she is actually from Las Vegas herself. And it just felt really cool to see her sort of incorporate that in her ring announcer outfit that she's wearing. She looks super, super pretty. I love how slinky it is and how it does grab your attention, even though, of course, she is the ring announcer. And it was just really beautiful to see her outfit and the evolution of it because that white dress she had on last season during her first season, I might add, was fire. But this one is really cool too, and I really like it. So big ups to her. And also congrats to her too, because she is engaged. So she will be getting married soon. So that's cool. And then Lana Starr's outfit was fire for this next match as well, because in this next match, it was the main event of Curtain Up Las Vegas for the Wild Tag Team Championships between Big Rigs and Bourbon, Big Rig Betty and Jessie Jones versus Miami Sweet Heat. And of course, they're looking to get their lick back on behalf of Holly Swag, who they attacked in that cage match, which we really actually didn't get to fully get into and talk about. So, Katrina, take this match away for a second because you and I have to have a discussion about how that cage match went.
I
Because I've been wanting to talk to you about this for a while. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
thought, should we do the cage match first then?
Yes.
Like if because it does tie into this match. I guess maybe we
Yes.
should do the cage match first. But to me, that cage match was freaking insane. That's not the word I want to use. I had to use the PG version of the word I want to use, but it was insane. I thought that, with regards to, I'm always surprised how far people can kind of pull out more things. You're like, it can't get more like crazier than this. It can't get worse than this. It can't get more um aggressive than like the other time they had something crazy. But the cage match was absolutely like nuts in a good way though. Like I thought that the ladies really put everything into that cage match. And I do think, every time we think of in wrestling in general with cage matches, it's always like it can only go so much further. It's either a cage match, you have like that grudge match where it's like it got to that point. You have to settle it in this kind of a match. And I thought the ladies killed it. And so for that match to be as good as it was, and then we see the turn, which I knew was coming, because while it did at some point see that Lana did like Holly, like where she was doing the most with Holly, or engaging in ways as if Holly was probably the shiny new toy. I think this can serve as a lesson to Holly that, you left your mom quick because you wanted some glitz and glamour, as if we haven't seen what the Fab Four has done in the past when it comes to people either putting themselves in something or interjecting themselves into their squad, or even upsetting them. As like thinking about how Lana tried to keep the titles with her squad. Like she's always been about keeping titles in her squad, and Holly comes along thinking everything is sweet. And then she learned the hard way that you were just a mere, I want to say, a distraction to an extent. I feel like that's the word I want to use. Like you were a distraction for a bit, or you was like a new thing for a bit. But at the end of the day, it's about Miami Sweet Heat and Penelope. And you unfortunately learned that the hard way. And so you left your mom, who is your mom. And while you can disagree with your mom about things, we all disagree with our moms for some reason or another. You don't leave your mom hanging like that. You know what I mean? You don't do that to your mother, especially when your mother's trying. You can't always control circumstances, but she was trying. And so to leave her to put yourself in a group that was glitzy and glamour, and they kicked you to a curb like astray. It's like, girl, please. So what have you learned? I love some people. What have we learned? What have we learned? Holly, engaging in that. And so this like leading up to, this matchup now between Miami Sweet Heat, who are the new tag champions, and Big Rig Betty and Jessie. I personally like sometimes you gotta as a parent, you gotta let a kid learn a lesson. Yeah, as hard as it may be at times. And I'm saying this as it's extremely hard. I will say with my kids, I will burn everything down for it. I say this all the time. Like crazy Katrina is 100 times worse when it comes to my kids. I like there's really no level of like necessary logic I might think when it comes to making sure my kids are good. And so I can understand the mom role of like I have to defend my kid. I have to, for what they did to her. But also, ma'am, sometimes she got to learn a lesson. She's old enough to learn a lesson. Like, you can't throw family aside like that for people who always shown um, that they weren't always like on the up and up. They have shown they can be very shady and petty. And so props to Big Rigs, because I think I would have probably showed my kid just a slight lesson, like, I got you, but I'm gonna let you handle this on your own first, and then I'll come in like I need to come in, just because of the way it played out. But I will say this particular storyline, from everything leading up to that cage match and leading up even to the, when it was Miami Heat versus Holly and Penelope, like the four of them just battling it out to ultimately show Holly, well, nope, to the curb. I thought it was really good, like just the last few months of building up to that, and then leading to this matchup in Las Vegas. And so I don't want to ramble too much, but that's just how I thought it was really good, like how they just it played. But also I already knew, I did feel, I'm like, nah, I
How
don't
did
really
you
cute.
know? Because I did not know. I have to say that I did not know. So the idea that you kind of felt that there was something off with that just kind of makes me feel like your discernment of that situation was higher than mine because I was just like, bruh, like
I
they
think
really are. Like I did not think that at all.
I think part of it is just a writing thing sometimes. And sometimes I feel like I can see certain things play out and I'm like, okay. And I don't, it's sometimes a bad thing because sometimes I do want to be surprised, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, I did figure this out. But also, it's just like little things, like even while Holly was like having a good time, it started to feel like it wasn't the same level of like, well, Penelope always was kind of like, no, like from the very beginning, she never
Oh
really liked
yeah.
Holly being there. The rest of them seemed a little bit more okay with her being there. And I felt like that started changing, where it wasn't the level they may have given her when she first joined. And for me, I was like, she gonna be gone. I didn't think it'd be this soon, but I did think that they would turn. It just happened a lot sooner than I thought it would happen. So yeah.
Yeah, and then the plan was so calculated too, because I can say just as a viewer, um, like the plan and the way that they revealed it during the cage match was just so calculated and just so whoa. Like it was just like a big underlying plan all along where you just did not see it coming until it happened for me. And I was just like, bruh. So you mean to tell me this entire time since Penelope lost her opportunity in that battle royal, you and Lana sat down somewhere and plotted out this revenge to the T all season long and then just wow and just snatched her out. Like, so your plan all along. So basically, y'all doing the hotel room thing, that was the plan. And all of that y'all sat there and planned all of that. Like I didn't know whether to be disgusted or impressed at the idea that you plotted out that level of revenge. Like I didn't know whether to be mad or just impressed that your level of anger and your level of petty led you to do such a thing. Cause that's a lot of dedication and a lot of spite mixed in to try to get back at somebody. Like that was just crazy to me. And the idea of Penelope and Holly, being a tag team for as long as they were, and then defending the titles, and then with everything happening with Lindsay and Lori, with them not even being in on the plan, that was even crazier too. And Lana even admitted, like, look, like, I'm sorry I couldn't even tell you about the plan, but what's a few chair shots between friends and all this other stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. And honestly, I would just like to say that Wow Superheroes definitely deserves their props. Whoever is doing their writing deserves their props for that level of long term storytelling. We talk about it all the time in wrestling. We need to give them their credit. This is an all female promotion. They deserve their credit for this because this is a television show. They deserve their teas. They deserve their flowers for how excellently that was executed because the way my behind was gagged and the way that I was chomping at the bit to talk to you about it, Kat, was just absolutely nuts. It was nuts because it just gagged me so hard. I couldn't deal. I couldn't deal. I could not. So in the midst of this, of course, Big Rigs and Bourbon, we're trying to get the upper hand, well, not the upper hand, but get their lick back, on behalf of Holly Swag. And Holly Swag has already planned out her revenge as well. Because even she will admit that she was blinded by the lifestyle because she felt like, okay, I'm a champion. Why am I still living like this? Which is which is valid because to a degree, when you work up to a certain point, you feel like your lifestyle needs to match the level of work that you're putting in. So I can definitely understand that because I think about that quite a lot myself. But you also don't need to let the lifestyle blind you so much that you forget where you come from. And like you said, Katrina, that's a lesson that she had to learn by herself. So now that she's learned that lesson by herself, she's going to get even as well by herself. But her mom and her friend had to do it first. So now we get into this tag team match for the titles. So now let's bring it back to the present. Um, in this episode, these two tag teams had a very Heated match. Miami Sweet Heat tried to go for an attack, but Betty and Jessie wound up ducking it, and Lindsay got tossed out of the ring. And Jessie was fighting Lori by herself for a minute, and then Jessie was stomping a mud hole in Lori in the corner of the ring and gave a hip attack with a 2 count. And then Jessie slammed Lori into the turnbuckle and tabbed Big Rig Betty. And they hit the changing lanes for a 2 count. Like, it was a few times, towards the beginning of the match where they got the upper hand on Lori. Big Rig Betty slammed Lori's head into the turnbuckle, but then she got pushed away. And then Lori, of course, tagged her twin sister Lindsay. And Betty gave Lindsay a series of kicks, and then Betty and Jessie twisted up Lindsay and gave a double elbow to her chest, and they tried to cover for a 2 count. Lindsay and Jessie were trading shots. Both teams got to fighting and brawling with each other at a certain point. Lindsay and Lori wound up getting the upper hand and attacking Jessie's knee and leg, and tried to submit her out, but Jessie would not give up. Lindsay knocked Big Rig Betty off of the apron as Jessie tried to reach for her, further isolating her. And then, of course, the ref, they were giving all kinds of ref you suck chants, which I low-key feel like is becoming the new popular chant to give whenever the ref does something that the crowd doesn't like. Not to drag
Yeah.
wrestling fans, but if this week has shown us anything, is that sometimes wrestling fans need to be dragged. Shout out to Kalani Jordan. But but either way, Jessie cleverly used her legs to propel Lindsay into a pin, but then Lori distracted the referee from the pin. And it was just a lot of back and forth until Big Rig Betty was able to finally get a hot tag and then hit a Southern sampler onto Lori with a suplex. But then when it looked like Lori was about to lose the titles, Penelope Pink came in to distract Big Rig Betty, and Holly Swag came and yanked her off of the apron and chased her away. And then Lori sprayed Big Rig Betty with hairspray and got the pin and retained the WoW Tag Team titles. So Miami Sweet Heat are still our tag team champions, using those nefarious means that you mentioned previously, Katrina, to retain their titles. So it seems like we're really just back to the shenanigans of the past. So yeah, Katrina, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yep.
And that's how the episode ended. It ended with them being on top in the first episode of Las Vegas. Pretty solid stuff for the very first episode on Fremont Street. And I will say that it was great.
No, it was. It was definitely a good first episode for Fremont Street and Las Vegas with the girlies, women's wrestling. Always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty solid stuff. So we move into the second episode, which aired last weekend into November, because holy cow, we're in November. The year is about to end. What is happening to time? The new episode was Battle Lines Drawn, and in this episode, they got a new theme song. And if you know me, you know I love theme songs, god dang it. And this theme song was fire. And I was just like, okay, they were talking about baby face and heels, you know the deal, and all this other stuff, and da 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 da, and wow, wow. And the ladies go, wow, wow. I know that's not really how it goes, but just give me a minute. I'm gonna memorize it. Okay. The theme song was fire. I really liked it. I am a sucker for themes, and this was amazing. So big ups to whoever made that theme song because it was cool the first time I heard it. So they gave a recap of the tag title match ending. And so this episode started with the VIPs of Las Vegas, Paola Mayfield, or as of course Abilene Maverick likes to say, Paola Mayfield, coming out with Abilene Maverick. They made their way to the ring, and they introduced themselves. And then, of course, they were angry that the Classmaster had another chance at the WoW World title against Tormenta because it should be Paola's chance. And they decided to diss the Classmaster because they were just like, look, we're not into nerdy things or reading books, which low-key sounded really bad because I'm just like, That's a part of the problem that people are having. But either way, that they're not into nerdy things or reading books. We're into VIPs and parties and stuff. And in the midst of this, with them dissing the classmaster and bigging themselves up, Katie Marie Jones and gets into the ring and they were actually whistling at her and I was like, if y'all men don't behave. It takes nothing to behave. But I get it. I mean, we're beautiful, but please behave. This is a serious production. Anyway, which leads us into our first match. Paola, the Colombian goat Mayfield, going up against Santana Garrett, a familiar foe. These two have fought multiple times in the last season. Of course, Santana Garrett is still looking to prove herself a lot more as a former Wild World champion and make her way back up the ladder to get the upper hand and into that upper echelon of what it means to be a Wild World champion again. The match itself got fiery. Santana knocked down Paola with a Thez press and proceeded to punch the crap out of her. Paola left the ring to recollect herself with Abilene. And then she got back into the ring, and both ladies locked up and tested their strength against one another. Santana hit a monkey flip in a pin attempt, and then Paola lifted her shoulders up, and with both ladies showing off their flexibility in the middle of the ring, which I felt like people should have applauded for because that was awesome. Um, and then Santana and Paola were touching foreheads and talking trash at each other because, of course, they have that heated past with one another. And Santana twisted on Paola's wrist and launched her into the corner of the ring. And then Paola tripped and drop kicked Santana into the corner and elbowed Santana in the face for a 1 count. Paola gave a Bronco Buster to Santana and then pulled on her hair and mushed her. And then Santana fought back with blows to the stomach, and then Paola wound up hitting back as well. Santana hit a jawbreaker after Paola was talking to Abilene to try to get some, I guess, encouragement or whatever. And then Paola wound up getting hit with a back handspring elbow, but then she battled back with a really innovative DDT for a 2 count. And then after Santana hit her rise and shine and a super kick, Abilene grabbed Santana's legs to stop her in her back flip, and Paola hit her swinging neck breaker in order to win the match. So Paola got the upper hand here in this match, and it seems like it was in her neck of the woods and in her and Abilene's playground because, of course, they have that party life, Las Vegas lifestyle. But this match was a good back and forth to start this episode, so I really loved it. It was really cool. Um, but it was a lot of moments where Santana really did almost have her. So it kind of disappointed me to see Paola get the upper hand, but hey, that's just the way of life. So, Kat, how did you feel about this match?
I thought it was a good match. You know how I feel about everything just being around and gracing people with her presence or annoying me with hers. But I do think this was a good match, and I do think at times, it did seem like Santana would win just off of certain things she did. And I think that's more of an experience thing. She's definitely one of like the OGs in wrestling, but also an OG in WoW. And so I do think that for experience, there were moments where I'm like, okay, she got this. However, I cannot discredit Paula and how she handled the match. I do think she held her own against Santana. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with this one only because it did seem like she, put some effort into it. Like it wasn't like a match where I'm like, okay, how did you win this kind of a thing? It was like, no, you actually had some effort. You actually put up your best foot forward when it came to Santana. And so I can appreciate that aspect, as irritating as her and everything is to me. I can appreciate the effort to, make sure with somebody as experienced and as good as Santana that you kind of got you won, and you did it, correctly. You did it in a way where it wasn't like, I'm like, girl, why? Like that kind of a thing. And so as irritating as they may be at times, I can respect the hard fought win, and she won it. So it was good stuff.
Yeah, it was a hard fought win, and I was very impressed with Paola. It seemed like she really has been sharpening more of her skills in the time of which season three and season four started. She seemed really sharper in this match. Not to say that she wasn't sharp before, but there was a little bit more to it this time that gave off, being ready for someone like Santana, who, of course, is a veteran. It was really, really good stuff. So she did get the upper hand there and, win fair and square. Um, and let me just say, I have a very random confession to make. I know you don't necessarily like Abilene Maverick the same way I had my beef with Penelope Pink, or still have my beef with Penelope Pink, but I have a little bit of a girl crush on her.
You know,
I'm sorry. I
no,
just,
you
I
don't
just,
need to say sorry. You
I
don't need
just.
to say sorry.
She's just she's so beautiful to me, and I just had to admit it and just say that out loud and just say it to myself because Abilene, she be serving. She be serving looks, and she's just so gorgeous. So I'm just like, yo, Abilene, hi. Um, so I just had to just say that just to, for vibes and for comfort. This is a safe space. Um, so yeah. After that match, we go backstage with Coach Campanelli, who is preparing for her match against Daisy Lane, which comes with its own historic implications due to the fact that, of course, she trained Daisy Lane as Pep Riley with Team Spirit, and backstage she was throwing all kinds of shade, telling her that she feels like for once they're actually on the same page. She had pictures of Daisy Lane as Pep Riley, and she said that she reminded her, and she was reminding us of her being benched with Team Spirit. Of course, we do miss Sasha Sparks and Ariel Sky. We miss you guys so much. But she had concepts of, and she said that, I guess my concepts that I taught to you have finally got through to your bleach blonde skull, and that she actually loves Daisy Lane way better. But the hard truth is that you can change your name and you can change your gear, and you can change your team, but at the end of the day, I'm still Coach Campanelli. If you step in the ring with me, you're gonna have to remember Coach tip number one. Coach always ends up on top, which of course feeds into the match that they had. And of course, Coach got on the microphone, and of course they dissed um, Team Monsters and Metal. But of course, we're not going to get all into that right now. They were dissing them, saying friendship doesn't win championships, which of course makes me feel like, bruh, I'm going to need for Monsters and Metal to take those trios titles up off of them expeditiously. So, as the match got started, Coach was yelling at Daisy Lane, telling her, I taught you everything you know. You'd be nothing without me. And at some point, even at the very beginning, Daisy Lane was here to say, girl, bye. I'm better without you. And she executed a hurricanrana onto Coach, and she hit a splash, even though she missed a Bronco Buster as Coach moved out of the way. Like, Daisy was out here proving that, yeah, you did teach me things, but look at what I've learned since you've been gone, like Kelly Clarkson. She was kicking her butt throughout the match. Of course, Coach did knee Daisy in the stomach and kneed her back, and then tried to trip her up and everything. Krush and Gloria kept trying to beat down on Daisy. But of course, Daisy kept fighting out and kept, not giving up. Daisy actually jumped on Coach's back and bit her shoulder, which was awesome. And then Coach flipped Daisy off of her and then splashed her into the corner with an elbow shot to the face and hit a snapmare for a 2 count and an elbow to Daisy's chest for a 2 count. And then Coach tried to lock in a sharpshooter, as you can see on the screen right there. And then Daisy got the rope break, and then she flipped Coach into a pin. And then Daisy executed another hurricanrana with a back handspring splash and a Bronco Buster that she did not miss. And even as Crush and Gloria tried to distract Daisy, Daisy leapt from the top rope into a sitting splash, and then Coach then hit a side Russian leg sweep for a 2 count. And then she tried to go for the buzzer beater, but as Crush and Gloria tried to, distract again, they get double clotheslined by Chainsaw. And then Fury assisted Daisy with a DDT over the top rope, and Daisy Lane pinned Coach Campanelli got you together. The student has surpassed the teacher. What you thought. So Daisy Lane celebrated this win, but of course they tried to attack her from behind. Again, top tier being dastardly. But then Chainsaw wound up pushing everybody out and just knocking everybody out. And then Daisy Lane got on the microphone and said, Top tier has tried to knock us down again and again. They called us freaks and their team ripped up my doll. And now I want to tell you something important. People may knock you down over and over, but what matters is that you get back up every time and keep fighting. And she said, Top tier, I dare you to underestimate us again. If you keep beating down on the people I care about, you're not going to have much of a team left. And I thought here was where they would challenge them, but they didn't challenge them for the titles again. And I was like, God dang it, what's taking us so long? Make it happen. But this match was great. I was glad Daisy Lane won. It was fantastic. Um, yeah, it was great. The only thing that I nitpicked about the match was just the fact that every time Crush and Gloria kept interfering, I would have liked to for Fury and Chainsaw to have been on them immediately. Like, get on these people immediately. I understand you're the baby face, but even a baby face has to fight fire with fire sometimes. But either way, it was solid stuff. Daisy Lane won, and I was happy. So, Katrina, how did you feel?
I thought it was a really good match. I think, Coach, as good as Coach is, sometimes her and the rest of top tier have these egos that it's like, I need y'all just for here to calm down. I am all about confidence. I think it's nice to be confident in what you can do and your abilities, but there's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. And I do believe that team in general have arrogance. In particular, Coach Campanelli, who have said 100 times, if you listen to Coach, it's this. And I guess she thought because Daisy had left the fold, or rather she kind of kicked Daisy out of the fold. It wasn't even like it was a choice in the matter. Coach just felt a way about certain people, before she wound up joining top tier. And so Daisy being able to join people who care about her and join people who are okay with who she is as a person, but also who have supported her change, but also growth as a wrestler, I respect. And I do think this was a really big, like, in your face coach from Daisy, because she beat her. And she beat her, even with coaches like disrespect, even with top tier doing what top tier does, Daisy was able to pull it off. And Daisy's, of the group of her group, she's the smallest one. She's a small girly. And so I'm always a yay extra when a small girly do a thing, because I'm a small girly, and so it's always like an extra, like, good shit kind of a thing. When a small girly gets a win over somebody who could have been an obstacle a year or two ago. And so, not that coach is like a bigger, it's just more so of, I think, in ring mind games, coach is better at, that's why she's able to been doing the stuff that she's been doing. But Daisy overcame all of that and she got the win. And I love that for her. And kudos. And I'm hoping that this also leads for more wins for Daisy in the future and well.
Yeah, me too. And then it's not even just the fact that she was able to get past her as a smaller girl too. It's just that she was able to get past her after all of the abuse that she took from her in the past. Like, as Pep Riley, Daisy was very timid. Even though as a wrestler there was a lot of growing that she had to do, but she was also in spirit, no pun intended. She was very, timid in that way. And she really did want to please coach and wanted to, do everything she said in order to grow. But of course there was always the notion, the underlying feeling that she felt not really wanting anybody else there. And so once coach embarrassed her and tried to like kick her down, and once she was able to tap into this darker side of herself, she was able to rise and become this better athlete that we're seeing now as she is Daisy Lane. So it was amazing to see her get the upper hand, especially after all the abuse that she took from them, with them tearing up her doll and all of the above. And they've been fighting back and forth, and it's just been really great to see her get a moral victory and a emotional victory and just an in-ring victory in that way too. It was just really good. And I just really need for Monsters and Metal to just take them titles off them. Please, 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 and thank you. So after this match and after that promo, David introduced the Wild World Champion Tormenta. We were able to see Tormenta after the injury she sustained. You could see her shoulder was still bandaged up. And of course, they were recapping what happened to her in her match. And of course, she said, in Spanish, that the path has not been easy at all and that she climbed her way with grit and pain to become the face and the champion of WoW, and that she could not let her people down after her injury. And during her rehab, and after her rehabbing, she says she's here to defend her championship and be a fighting champion because Mexican people never back down. And let's take that message for what it is. They never back down. They don't. Respect to Hispanic people, respect to immigrants, respect to anybody that's out there being targeted, including us as Black people as well, but all people of color who are being targeted at this stage of life. It is not cool. It will never be cool. We need to create safe spaces for these people to be who they are and love them for who they are and learn from their differences. And if you can't do that, then you don't need to partake in anything they create. And then I'm just going to put that out there right there. Don't partake in anything that they create or any music that they create or anything else like that if you do not respect their humanity.
X.
If you do not respect our humanity, then leave us alone. And if you can't leave us alone, then that just says everything about you and nothing about us. And also, Katrina, let me just say shout out to New York because I saw what y'all did with the mayoral election. Not to get political, not to get too political up in here, but I am happy with what you guys did. It was great. It was absolutely great. It was fantastic. The name is Mamdani. Okay. Um, I love that. Congratulations to y'all. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We will fight. Okay. Dang it. We will fight for each other. Now, back to WoW. While backstage, they had a promo with Penelope Pink. And she proceeded to diss Holly Swag. She said, Holly Swag, you just can't help yourself. You just have to stick your nose in my business. I go out there with the Fab Four, and you're gonna come out and make me injure my ankle. And I'm just like, girl, you ain't injured, but whatever. It's okay though. You think the beating you got in the cage match was bad? Tonight is going to be the worst night of your life, courtesy of the best damn thing that WoW's ever seen. And they have a saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. With the humiliation on Fremont Street tonight, you're going to be staying away from me for good. So, this leads us into our main event of Battle Lines Drawn, which was Penelope Pink, who with Lana Star, versus Holly Swag. Let me say this: I did not expect us to get this revenge match so quickly. I thought maybe that would be like maybe in sort of like the middle part of the season. Not saying that they won't fight again, because if they did fight again after seeing the way this match took place, I would be very happy with it. But oh my God, I did not expect us to get this quickly. But baby, when we got what we got, it was good. So Holly still came out with her sock of rocks. And she was very heated at Penelope, so she even threw her big old hat at her during her entrance. And let me also just pay a compliment to Penelope Pink. Her hair was curled to the gods. She looked super, super pretty with her curly hair. It was really nice. And Holly was just pissed at her. She even threw her jacket at Penelope. And they had a face off in the ring. They got in each other's faces and was talking trash at each other. Penelope mushed Holly's face, and then Holly knocked down Penelope Pink with some punches. This match was not a scientific match the way that it was not a technical masterpiece in the way that Nigel Zane actually mentioned. This was a fight. And sometimes in life and in wrestling, the fights are just as good as the technical masterpieces. Penelope actually ran away after a while, but then Holly wound up catching her and they were throwing hands. And here again, chops wound up happening in this match. They kept chopping each other in the chest, chopping each other in the back. It was just an all out fight here. Penelope tried to go for a kick, but then Holly had it scouted and yanked her down into the apron. Holly kept kicking and, leg swept Penelope in the ring, but then she missed a shining wizard. And then Penelope kneed Holly super hard in the face. And then Holly actually snuck a cover for a 2 count. Penelope actually grabbed Holly's leg and yanked it into a knee shot. Penelope then stomped on Holly's stomach and then licked her hand for another nasty chop. And then she went for another chop, and then Holly asked, "Wait, I thought I was your friend." And then she slapped the crap out of her. It was nuts. She was like, "Pow!" Like, "I thought you were my friend." And then Penelope was like, "Pow, girl, no, we were never friends." It was very vicious. It was a very petty slap. And then Holly chopped Penelope back in the corner, but then Penelope landed a forearm shot to Holly's face, and then she sat on her back and posed on the ring apron. And as you can see in this picture right here gave one of the craziest was like captured one of the craziest moments in this match, where Penelope grabbed Holly and went for a suplex, but actually wound up throwing her into the floor. And I was like, good God. It was like she clipped the apron and just hit and just landed flat on the floor. And I was like, Jesus Christ, it was nuts. And then Penelope actually scratched Holly's back, and then she was barking at David and Nigel to tell the people how great she is. She ran Holly's head into the commentary desk. Like, it was just a lot of fighting back and forth between these women. But eventually, Penelope suplexed Holly after she suplexed her to the floor, Holly escaped her pretty in pink attempt back in the ring, and then she hit a backstabber and an elbow and gave punches and a super kick. And then Holly hit the hitch and ditch, shades of her background with her mom, for the 3 count, and Holly Swag wound up getting the win. But in the midst of this, she couldn't celebrate the win. Why? Because the Fab Four is always lurking. So because they were always lurking, they decided to jump on Holly. But Big Rig Betty and Jesse Jones came out to even the odds, and that's how Battle Lines Drawn ended. So that was the end of the episode. Katrina, how did you feel about Holly and Penelope's fight? Um, and Holly getting the win here.
I think it was a good it was a good match. I do understand the level of emotion there. One, Penelope really never liked Holly's side, but also I guess Holly feeling bamboozled. Do again, I will have to say I'm I'm somebody who watches people. I'm an observer, so I'm quiet. I'm watching. I watch people. You watch how people act. You watch how people are with people, and if you were this Delulu, Holly, to believe Penelope of the whole group. Now, maybe you might have been tricked by the other three, but Penelope always made it very clear she didn't particularly like you. I don't know what world Holly was in, but she's like, I thought we were friends. Did you? Because I didn't get those vibes watching that you guys were friends. Penelope always looked annoyed. Even when you guys won the titles, she looked annoyed. Like, I have to do this, like that kind of vibe. Like, she didn't even want to do it. What do you mean, sis? The Lulu needs to end because you can't be that ridiculous. With that being said, I can understand if she did believe, though I don't know how, but if she did believe like Penelope was a friend and they turned her, I can see why she was fighting more so on emotion. And even with, I did think at points Penelope was going to win it just because it seemed, even though Penelope was running at points, I did think like, she might pull it out of the bag and win this. But I do think it was more of like Holly's hurt that really ultimately pushed her over, the end to really win the match. But it was good. I just like, girl, please, like, we can't be this Delulu. Yeah, we can't be this Delulu. It shouldn't be like, you're like, wait, why? We're not friends. Like, girl, no, it was obvious. At least of all the members of the Fab Four, she should have been the most obvious. She didn't particularly like you. She always seemed annoyed that you was even in the space. Like, just be for real. But it was a good match overall.
I feel like Penelope doesn't like anybody being in her space for real. Because every time I think about how Penelope just, talks about how, everybody in the Fab Four has her back, she is literally like only for herself. And I think maybe Holly thought that maybe she could, work her down a bit, because sometimes in life we can be, we want to be friends with somebody so bad that we want to like win them over eventually instead of just seeing what it is for what it is. Hi,
Hello.
C Fluid 247. Nice to see you. It says Leo highly recommended you guys. Okay, thank you to Leo. Thank you for
Thank you.
watching. Yeah. So, he was like, she was trying to win her over. But Penelope, is like a person. It's like once she has her mind made up that she doesn't like you, then that's just, what it is. And she's only for herself. And she's only for her own self interest. And I feel like if she is only, for her own self interest, that means of course she's not really even going to care that much about you or even that much about her friends. She's only going to use them to get to what she wants. um that's always the bottom line, is herself, which to a degree you do. I mean, you don't want to use people, to get to what you want for yourself, but to a degree I can admire it, because in life you do have to be selfish to a degree. Like, you only have to focus on your bottom line when it's only you that you have to worry about. But whatever. Penelope is just not a nice person. And I've said that before on multiple occasions. Penelope Pink is not a nice person. She is only for herself. She's mean, she's hateful, and now Holly here again had to learn the hard way, like we mentioned earlier. So I'm glad she got her look back, and I'm glad that, her relationship, at least with her mom and Jesse Jones, can be fixed. But I am glad that she wound up getting the win here, because this was just a really hard fought match. I feel like watching this match gave me the feeling of watching Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair at Survivor Series a few years ago, after they had threw them titles at each other and they were
Yeah.
beefing. And they were beefing with each other, and then everybody was just sort of running with the discourse of that, and then they wound up fighting each other only to become friends again ultimately. That's just kind of the feeling that watching this match gave me, and it was fire. I love the energy of it. So yeah, we've reached the end of our time together. So of course, thank all of you for watching this double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow. um this new season has a lot of excitement surrounding it, and hopefully, as life continues to evolve for the both of us, we can continue to give you great wow content and continue to have, new episodes and new interviews as the year continues to go on and wow continues to flourish. So of course, Katrina, well, before I get to, well, yeah, Katrina, tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You guys can find and follow me on Cat We Trust, the E to 3 on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Everything else is spelled the way it's spelled. Just check out my videos on there. I've been a bit delayed with some of my YouTube stuff just because I've been so busy. And if you are in the New Jersey area, I will be working shows 2 days in a row, both Friday and Saturday. I'll be doing backstage with Matt Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Magic. So that should be cool. And then basically, you'll probably see a bunch of birthday posts coming up soon. My birthday is coming up. So if you see an unnecessary amount of posts, that's why. So I apologize in advance. But that's basically it.
Awesome. Do not apologize for birthday stuff, okay? I like literally I dedicated the whole month of September to myself and my birthday. So please, let's not. Do not apologize for that. So yes, watch everything that she has going on. She also has a new article with Daily DDT too about Naomi and the Caution character that we've grown to love and, express our love for, especially during this past Halloween season. Even I dressed up as Naomi, which was fun because I hadn't done a Halloween costume in so long. So that was really great. So please read that article at Daily DDT for her. She pushes her pen and it's great. So yeah. Also, you can follow me and find me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. You can follow the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, at on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and on Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. You can also support Bianca Addison, the new co-host, excuse me, of HWP at Bianca Addison, and just continue to follow us and support us. Follow me on TikTok at Stephanie underscore Hardy 4 or Stephanie Hardy underscore 4. Either way, you can find me on TikTok. I post all my stuff and clips there as well. And read all of my articles on Daily DDT 2. I'm still working on another one too. And I can't wait to put that one out and just continue to support women's wrestling throughout all of its platforms because it's been kicking ass all year long. Not to curse, but it's been kicking ass all year long, and across all promotions. That's WWE, AEW, WoW, everywhere else, even on the indies. So continue to support women's wrestling, support WoW superheroes, watch them wherever you can. Go on wowe.com, type in your zip code to see what channel it comes on for you on regular television. Stream them. You can watch them on Vice TV. You can watch them on Pluto TV with their 24-hour WoW channel. They also have Wrestling Central on Roku TV where you can watch NWA and WoW in like a whole block of time right there. And you can subscribe to their YouTube channel where they post full episodes and full matches. And buy their merchandise too, as well with pro wrestling tees and also on Amazon as well. And just support them because they're on television kicking all kinds of butt, and Jeannie Buss, of course, who is the Lakers owner, and David McClan are upping the ante every season with their production value of this show and the fact that it's an all female promotion on television, the same way that TNA and WWE and AEW is. It's just absolutely fantastic, and they deserve all the love and support. And as long as we're here, we'll be loving and supporting them as well. So this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And until next time, bye y'all. Also stream my new episodes too of HWP because I'm trying to be more consistent. But either way, bye y'all. Be good to each other.